Like to call the meeting to order for the Board of Public Utilities. Pledge of allegiance and a prayer, please.
We are in a place to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we just come to you again this Thursday, I think one of the calls we did was first call for the rain we're having right now, and we look at them great visuals, what will be in fall, winter months, how my farmers. And that was what they off the ground. Thank you for all of these questions. Cover the time that set up the best part of these days.
Amen. Members of the public wishing to comment on any item not appearing on the agenda may address the board at this time. State law prevents the board from acting on any matter not on the agenda. However, your comments may be referred to staff for follow-up. This is also the time for public comment on items listed under the consent calendar or to request an item from the consent calendar to be pulled for discussion purposes. Comments related to public hearing and the general business items will be heard at the time those items are discussed. In fairness to all who wish to speak, public comment is limited to a total of 15 minutes with each speaker, allowed 3 minutes unless otherwise extended by the board. Please begin your comments by stating your name and providing your city of residence. Communications are, pardon me? Do we have any public?
I don't know if we have any public comments here, but Diane, do we have anyone online? Okay.
Seeing none, we will move on. Communications. Communications are to be submitted by the city manager's office 10 days prior to the board meeting to be considered for this section of the agenda. No action item will be taken on matters listed under communications. However, the board may direct staff to schedule issues raised during communications for a future agenda. Are there any communications?
No communications.
Thank you. On the consent calendar, all matters listed under consent calendar are considered by the board to be routine and will be enacted in one motion without discussion. If discussion is desired, that item may be removed and considered separately. Board, are there any items to be pulled? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Oh, the second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passed. General business items. Comments related to general business items are limited to 3 minutes per speaker for a maximum of 30 minutes per item, unless otherwise extended by the board. We have 2 items for general business. The first is on 6.1, the hydro vacuum.
Excavator.
And Tim, floor is yours.
Good afternoon, board.
Good
The
afternoon.
rain is nice. It's a good change. The air needs the cleaning. The item I have for you today is approve the award the purchase of a trailer mounted hydrovac excavator to Charles Machine Works Incorporated using a Sourcewell contract in the amount of $78,399.64, which includes tax shipping. The water division submitted and you were approved in our capital improvement projects this hydrovac trailer for the 2026 budget. The goal was to improve the division's overall efficiency and provide equipment needed for meter box maintenance, leaks, potholes, and any type of excavation, small excavation. It's been on their wish list for a long time. Currently, we use the hydrovac, the big truck that we use for cleaning sewers. And it's proved to be just an amazing piece of equipment, helping the leak crew with leaks. One, it makes excavation safe because you don't have to worry about breaking electric, gas lines and utilities in an emergency situation. It makes the cleanup better. It's just an all-around show to be a champion piece of equipment. The problem with that is that's a large piece of equipment, and on smaller stuff, it takes too much manpower and equipment. So this piece will allow the water division to do a lot of smaller jobs without having to pull off a larger piece of equipment and manpower to do that work. So when we budgeted this, you may be saying, well, we had $190,000 in our budget for this piece of equipment. So originally, when we were researching the piece of equipment, the item that we were looking at was a little bit larger, but it required a specialized license. So it would require anybody to pull this trailer to have a C license due to its size and weight when it's full. We went one size smaller, which only requires a C license, and it saved a significant amount of money. So we are recommending that the board approve the purchase of the trailer. And if you want to see it, I believe she has a little clip or a video.
But Tim, it'll do the same thing.
Pardon me?
It'll do the same thing.
Yeah,
Even though it's a little smaller.
They're used widely in the industry.
Okay.
If you remember when Race Communication was coming through town, when they were doing all their boring and digging and so forth, almost every crew had one of these trailers. A lot of contractors use them now because it's easier excavation, it's safer excavation, and it expedites the job so much quicker. And you don't have all the cleanup, and it just really eliminates the mess, which is the biggest part, especially with water leaks. Mud goes everywhere. And now we don't want to get it in a storm drain and everything. So it's actually, we've been wanting one for years. It's just come to the time to where we need to just purchase this item.
Tim, what exactly is a meter box main? When you say meter box, I'm thinking the ones we have at each home. What?
Correct. So this unit's small enough where it has like a 3-inch nozzle to where we can get inside the meter box to clean any debris from like a gopher, for instance. They love to fill those boxes up. So when the meter boxes get full of dirt, they hinder the accuracy of the meter's transmission to the radio. So we found that by cleaning these boxes out, which is requiring a lot more maintenance, currently they're having to do it manpower, this will allow them to do several boxes to make our meters more accurate to where they don't fail in their transmissions.
So where are these
Okay.
meter boxes located? Each
In front of every house.
Each home?
Yes,
So they're-
right, water meters.
Have you ever seen any?
Never seen anything cleaned out, but I know what you're talking about.
It's a 24 by 17-inch box. It's in the
Yeah.
front of every home. The meter's inside of it.
Go out on the curb?
Right,
Okay,
yes.
okay, I got you. I'm
It's
thinking
right behind the curb in front of every
in
home.
our backyard. I'm thinking,
No, you don't want to go back
Yeah.
there. But also out in the street,
yeah,
the main valves, they get covered or they
Right.
get filled with dirt and debris just over time. It allows them to get in there so the wrench can
I'm
fit.
trying to get a
over the nut.
picture of it. That,
Can-
okay,
Would it be okay if we show you the video really quick?
sure.
I know Renee likes pictures.
Is that something the city does, or do you just use it when there's a problem?
It's just part of, it's a piece of equipment that will allow us to be more efficient. It's like a giant vacuum.
Featuring an innovative low profile design that doesn't sacrifice power or ground clearance. These new backs deliver unrivaled versatility and performance to any job site. From potholing and slot trenching to HDD fluid and debris cleanup, HX backs are your next generation multi-purpose machines. The HX line has 3 powerful options to choose from, depending on your project needs.
There's a
Whether
street valve.
compact or large-scale jobs, there's an HX back for you. The HX30, HX50, and HX75 models each feature outstanding suction and water pressure, as well as patent-pending design for optimized airflow. Plus, our standard cyclonic 3-stage filtration system offers the industry's best filtration for maximum protection of key components. The HX line of vacs. Consider the game change. Contact your local dealer for a demo today. Ditch Witch, we're in this together.
What's the size of the one?
Very similar to one of those. It's just, it's the
The
30.
middle size.
The
Oh, the smallest.
smallest one. It's 500 gallons.
They don't play the music when they do the work. That's just with the video.
Well, the music comes with the machine at an extra price. No, but you can see that this unit compared to a 10-wheeler truck, semi truck, allows us, to access more areas throughout the city easier. And then the guys that are already on the crew, they can take this as part of their equipment. So it should expedite. Leaks is our biggest thing that we found. The vacuum helps us. Back in the old days, we were out there taking a chance either with a shovel or depending on the size of backhoe and without an underground service alert because we have to address a leak because of public safety. This, because it's a vacuum, allows us to excavate safely to where we don't break through electric line or a gas line or even our own sewer.
What triggers that tells you this certain box needs cleaning or needs to be looked at?
Well, that we get a report on, we can pull it up at any time and it'll show the areas and it'll show all the meters that are in red. So
Oh.
we'll do an investigation to see, is it a metal lid versus a concrete lid? We're having to get rid of a lot of metal lids. And then just take some investigation to see if a gopher is in there.
So you do
The
have,
west side has a lot of gopher issues. Well, if we're getting lucky. We eliminate the problem twice.
Sounds like Renee might have a water issue.
But it's, again, it's just when you're in there with a shovel and trying to clean these boxes out, we're actually doing more damage than good. Sometimes the glass lid gets broken through trying to find out where this is. So with this, it's just a giant vacuum and you just continue to remove down to allow, because the radio is inside the register. So once we expose that register, then we're good to go. And in theory, it allows us, because otherwise you have to go back and hand feed.
So the meter's transmitting.
Yes.
And if the meter's compacted with earth and sludge and it doesn't transmit, so that it goes red, so they know there's a problem, so they could take it out there and whatever it is, whether there's been an intrusion of water and mud or the gopher, whatever it is, this device will remove that versus them by hand having to remove it, by shovel having to remove it. They already know that it's transmitting because it's clogged.
Well, yeah, they can. Black widows like them. It's usually black widow, cockroaches, and gophers. Those are the favorites of meter boxes and electric panels and all that kind of stuff. It attracts them. But it's a win-win
Yeah.
piece of equipment.
Tim, you use this for more than just cleaning the meter
Yeah.
boxes. 'Cause you can.
Oh, it's
around sensitive-
multi-purpose.
Yeah, you don't need to bring a mini excavator that eliminates that and a lot of sensitive like
Yeah.
conduits or gas lines and whatnot, which can be super dangerous. So that you'd be using it for a whole lot more than just that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It would probably become one of those pieces of equipment that goes out on a daily basis.
Yep, okay.
Because it can multitask. So it could do meter
Yeah.
boxes, it could do valve
Yeah.
boxes, it could do leaks, it could do potholing, like you said, so we don't break anything out in the road.
I don't think we would use it for leaves. I mean, the leaves, we'd probably still use the big
I look-
piece of equipment, you
Yes,
think?
it would probably clog with leaves,
Yeah,
especially if they're wet. It's
Yeah.
not really designed for that.
yeah. So our current back we'd use for the leaves.
Yes,
The large one.
you're right. And that.
Well,
program should
that's
be
a different vac. Yeah. Yep.
It's,
We have leaf vac, but the bigger truck is the Camel, the sewer trucks. Yeah.
I'd say.
So this is
The other trucks are the Camels, the big
this
vac
is part of
arms.
the water division.
this would be a piece of equipment with the water division, which we work together. I mean, the sewer division and the water division work hand in hand. And we've just found the great success with the vac truck, but you're tied up two guys. You're
Makes
driving.
sense.
This is
Does make
much
sense.
more economical way to go.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else have questions? Thank you, Mr. Doyle.
Thank you very much.
Do anybody have a motion on this
Make a
matter?
motion to approve.
I'll second.
We got a first and a second to approve. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. All right, we have general business item 6.2. Which is Thomas is going to present.
I do not have a soundtrack for this. I do apologize. Unfortunately, it may have made this go by easier if I had fun music in the background. Um, so, gonna give you kind of a quick briefing on farmland mitigation and then talk about the action in front of you today. So back in April, council had adopted updates to the farmland mitigation ordinance. And staff had moved through the implementation steps of that. The first was putting out an RFP for a land trust to administer the farmland mitigation process. And the goal of this was currently we're seeing with our development projects that require farmland mitigation, the developer has to go out on the private market, attempt to work with a property owner and secure a conservation easement on those properties, or do other mechanisms through leaving the land fallow so that it doesn't fall under the mitigation ordinance, or when we've seen it most successful, they're putting the conservation easement on other lands that they own. So these things are either adding cost or uncertainty to their development process. And so the city's goal was to actually get in the business of the conservation easements ourselves and use the current buffer land around the wastewater treatment plant and record our own conservation easement. And so then in going through that process and kind of working with the land trust and looking at what was in the development pipeline, it also became clear that the easiest way to do this would actually be to go and record the conservation easement on all of the 580 acres that currently surround the wastewater treatment plant. And so that is one and done, and those costs are incurred. And then when it comes time for a development project, they're then just paying a per acre fee to the city. We're recording that allocation of the conservation easement to them, and they can move forward with their project. And so back in August at council approved the agreement with the land trust to administer the process, approve the fee, which comes out to $6,500 an acre, which in looking at the market right now is somewhere, but we've seen costs for developers anywhere between like 12 and 18,000 an acre. So this is a substantial cost savings for developers and makes developing in Tulare more desirable. And then council kind of gave us direction. Yep, let's move forward and record the entire easement to begin with. So the reason we're here today is because council's other direction was to come back to BPU from a budget standpoint, because this is something that would be funded from wastewater reserves. And what will happen is then that's where the fee revenue will then come in to replenish the dollars in wastewater that have been used to move forward with managing the conservation easement. And as we described in the staff report, the eventual goal of this, because right now we've got 580 acres that will record the conservation easement on. In our near-term development pipeline, we've got 669 acres of anticipated projects. So there's going to be a time frame within the next 10 years where we're already maxed out and have recorded all those easements. So then through the revenue that's gone into the wastewater fund, the city will be able to purchase more buffer land around the wastewater treatment plant. And the parcels that we've specified for this around the plant are ones that do not impact future expansion at that site. They're ones that are not kind of in that footprint of where we plan to grow the site over the facility's lifespan. And so the action in front of you today is just a resolution approving an appropriation from the sewer wastewater unallocated fund balance so that we can then move forward with the contract with the land trust and placing these conservation easements. And those items have already been handled at council. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Thomas. Anybody have a question?
So I'm trying to wrap my head around it. So this would pretty much preserve the 580 acres that we have out there and keep that.
Correct. Yeah, that would be
would be a
agricultural
help,
land in
right?
perpetuity.
That would be a big help to us out there.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. And then you're anticipating land development
And-
or whatever it is. Will that be all housing or be commercial or do we know?
In these areas that it is a mix of both, depending on some of these properties on the east side and the west side where we see development, predominantly residential, but some of those portions are at intersections of arterials and so on that have mixed use or commercial components to
So
them.
would that be something that would be determined as time goes?
Yep,
by?
as those projects go through. And right now, these are only these areas where the mitigation is taking place or are parcels that are already within the city's sphere of influence and addressed in the current general plan.
If I could just give you maybe just one step a little higher, because I know you guys don't typically deal with land use. So this is the result, and Thomas touched on this, but when you have land that's currently prime agricultural land being farmed, you can't just take that tomorrow and sell it and develop it, right? You have to you only have a couple options. You can either currently, before this was adopted, you could either let the land go fallow for 4 years minimum, which really until the state determines that the land has been fallowed, and they don't update their map. They're supposed to update them every 5 years. They don't. So you could let it go fallow for 4 years and hope the state agrees with you that it's now fallowed, but they might not agree with you. So the minimum would be you let it go fallow for 4 years. You're not generating income, right? And you're just waiting to sell it to somebody. Or you can go forward and purchase an easement somewhere, as Thomas mentioned, but that easement's going to cost you, 12 to 18,000 per acre. And frankly, in Tulare, we've been told by a number of developers, like people look at locations in the city, are like, why isn't this developing? It could be because you have an unwilling or an unreasonable property owner. It very well could be because it's covered by the farmland mitigation ordinance that they can't find other land to purchase an easement on that is affordable for them to do their project. The projects we have had go forward prior to this have been successful for one of two reasons. It's either been because the farmer that owns the land owns some land somewhere else and he just puts the easement, or he or she just puts the easement on their land somewhere else. Or in the case of a very large project that's fully capitalized, they could spread that cost over the development and they can go buy the easement somewhere. But most projects, a small subdivision, 40-acre subdivision, small commercial project, Starbucks coffee shop that's going to go in, they couldn't afford it. And that's what the land sits there now, right? But with this putting in place, we believe you're going to start seeing more land being ready to move forward with development.
So basically, Thomas, it's city council approved it. We're just approving the use of the money,
Correct.
transfer the money. Okay.
We approved the land to be up for this last year, I think it was.
Yes, we brought an item to you before this went to the council, going over the property. So it's all the property south of Page. It's kind of what surrounds our current effluent ponds. So it's already property that's been farmed for many, many years. We have under contract to be farmed. That is water that takes our effluent from the treatment plant. So we need that acreage to remain farmland because we have to be able to get rid of that water. And honestly, we've looked at the reuse alternatives for that water, and you're ranging from $20 to $175 million. And so right now, that's not necessarily our priority. So this works out great because we're currently farming the property. We have no plans to change that. And as they discussed, it keeps that buffer around the treatment plant.
So it's the same amount.
Yes.
Dealing with the same thing.
Yes, the same property that the board approved us to move forward, taking it to council. The council has just taken a few steps in between that is under their purview. And so this is kind of the last piece to tie it up, is the board ultimately has to approve the money to start this program. But remember, the money goes back to the wastewater treatment plant, as they said. So hopefully to purchase more property surrounding the treatment plant to keep that buffer and potentially put in mitigation. So this is just a continual process.
That's the proceeds on the second page.
Yes.
Yes.
2.7.
Yeah.
Purchase.
And I would say in the future, if the city wanted to, and presumably we would, right? If the city wanted to purchase more of that land around the treatment plant to continue to expand and fulfill that buffer, it all would be coming out of the wastewater fund, 100% of it. Now, half of it, if this materializes like we think, half would come out of the wastewater fund from current fund balance, and the other half would come out of the proceeds from the revenue received through this program, right? So that helps us theoretically, arguably keep sort of the rates down for the ratepayers because they're only paying half of the cost. The developers are paying the other half.
We have the funds in there that we need to do that, right?
Yes, the wastewater fund's very healthy.
I think there's a $45 million fund balance.
We have an expansion on the way. Remember that. But yes, we do have the funds for it.
All right, well, do we have a motion on item 6.2?
Move to approve item 6.2.
I'll second.
We got a first and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Items of interest.
I was told to keep it short. No, I'm kidding. We just finished, this isn't under the purview of the board, but it's a project that Public Works is proud of. We just finished a Cape Seal project on a few city streets around town. So we haven't had a whole lot of funding to do some street work, and we were able to get a CalRecycle grant. So basically it was like a chip seal, and then they went back over and slurried it. So if you see a few neighborhoods around town that have some really dark streets, there's a neighborhood in Del Lago. There's a couple on the west side near Pleasant School. We did an area around Kauai and Finch and Boyer. And then over off of Oaks, off of like Mitchell and Dickens, we did some streets. So the contractor was in and out in a week and a half. They did it really quick, but it's nice to see, and we're starting to plan our next one. So we're excited to get some street work done. So if you see it, that's what it was.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing of interest for finance.
Had a meeting this morning with Caltrans, and it was about the widening of 99 through Tulare, basically from the airport up to Prosperity Avenue. And one of the issues we're having to deal with is, of course, they're going to be reconstructing Page Avenue interchange. And instead of Page Avenue going up and over 99, they're going to take Highway 99 up and over Page Avenue. Page will be level. We have two sewer trunk lines that run in Page Avenue or just adjacent to Page Avenue at the interchange. What we're talking about is a substantial amount of earthwork that'll be brought in and increase the amount of burden that's on top of those sewer lines. And so we're hired a consultant to start the process of evaluating whether those sewer lines can handle that additional weight of the additional soil above them, or if we're going to have to consider some form of relocation of the sewer trunk lines, at least one of them in particular. There's a large 42-inch diameter sewer trunk line that is subject to this additional loading of the embankment above it. There's an existing, I think it's 36, the older sewer trunk line that would end up underneath the overcrossing structure of 99 going up and above. So of course that has potential maintenance, long-term maintenance issues getting, if you had to go in there and replace that line, now you've got a bridge above it. So lots of issues that we're currently evaluating, and we're hoping we get good answers regarding not having to replace or relocate that larger line, because that will be very expensive.
Thank you. Right.
Nothing.
Mark? Anything? Thomas?
Michael, pavement management.
It's a good one. Yeah, you might be interested in hearing about that. We did award a contract to a consultant to update our pavement management system. It's been a long time since the city streets were evaluated and rated. And we have an existing pavement management system software that basically takes these inspections and this data from the inspections. You plug it into the software, you provide information on what type of budget you have, and it helps you decide on how best to use your dollars for maintenance on streets. So we're in the process of updating that system. The last council meeting, they awarded the contract to the consultant, so we'll be starting that process. And hopefully give us some good answers and help us have the tools to evaluate what our future needs are for street maintenance.
Thank you. I don't have anything, except it's good to see everybody. And with that being said, I'd like to adjourn the meeting. Bueno.